Funky classic rock.
Her mom was a radio pioneer as well as a civil activist and one of the first female disc jockeys in the United States, which totally got me jazzed up. She played Lucy in the star-filled 1978 film Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and she performed alongside the amazing Peter Frampton, the Bee Gees, Aerosmith, and that is literally just to name a few. She went on to marry the love of her life, who also happens to just be the guitarist for the Steve Miller Band. Guys, we have Diane Steinberg Lewis in the house. Hey, Diane.
Is this the fabulous Kiki.fm Kiki Thirsty Thursday chick?
I just can't.
I love
this
you
girl.
already.
I love you already. I want to give you a hug. I'll shut up.
We love us.
Wait a minute.
We love us some Diane.
Kiki, are you sitting there with a cocktail? I heard Al saying he was.
I am. I have my Prosecco.
Oh, damn. Okay.
What do you
I'm
have?
ready to go, darling.
Do you have a margarita?
Pardon me?
Do you have a margarita?
How do you know I have a margarita?
Do you really?
I do.
No, you don't.
I do.
I'm a witch. That's why.
I should have my Prosecco, but hey, it's Thirsty Thursday. You can have anything you want, right?
That is right, Diane.
Hey there, girl.
You know what? I just have to say thank you so much for hanging out with all of us tonight. This is so exciting. But I'm sorry, Diane, I do have to talk about your mom because this totally, I mean, as I'm reading about her, I'm like, oh my, I mean, she has my heart. Now, whenever you told me your mother was a radio pioneer, a radio station owner, and again, when I went researching about her, I was just totally blown away. Martha Jean, the Queen Steinberg, was inducted into both the Black Radio Hall of Fame as well as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I am guessing, just a hunch, you listened to a little bit of everything while you were growing up.
You know what? When I was in high school, well, let's go back a bit, because my mom was in radio in 1953, WDIA in Memphis, Tennessee, and that's the same place that B.B. King started.
Oh, my gosh.
And so, in fact, Nat D. Williams, who was the first black guy on it was a white radio station in Memphis, but they were having classical music in the afternoon and the crop reports and all of that. And
the crop reports, oh my
money. And so just on a lark, Bert Ferguson talked to Christine Spindell, his girl Friday, as they were going on a kind of, you know how you have the NAMM convention? It was kind of a radio convention. And he says, look, I'm gonna make a change, and this is like Memphis, 1953. You know.
Yeah.
Actually, that's when my mom got started. 1945, I think it was, because it was right at the time of Truman. And he said, "I'm gonna make a change here," and it was risky.
Yeah.
And Kenny and I had a chance to interview Christine Spindell, who was like their girl Friday, you know, the one that did everything.
Yeah.
We're at the radio stations now. Like, you got Al there. Are you running your own board and stuff?
Well, he does it.
So he does it for you.
But I used to. Okay. I used to do it, though. I did.
Well, okay.
At other stations I worked at, I ran my own board, and I did all of that stuff. But now I got him doing that, but I do other things, too.
Right. So, you know, when my mom started, you had a guy engineer in there, and everybody picked the record. You know, so I've got pictures of all that stuff I'll send you later. But they made that daring change to put Nat D. Williams on the radio station. And I said, well, weren't you guys scared? And he says, yeah, you know, we had the kind of Ku Klux Klan bunch out there, a minded bunch out there, and they were saying that the other owner of the station would just be turning in his grave. And the first person that came there to audition was B.B. King.
Oh, my God.
And he came in from the rain because somebody said, hey, man, Memphis, Tennessee, they're gonna have some colored folks on there. And he went, well, I'm going. And he took his guitar, walked in the rain, got there with Lucille, And they said, well, what do you do? He says, I play the guitar. And they said, show us what you can do. And so they set it up for him, and he played. And next thing you know, he was on the radio.
Come on.
And, and one of his sponsors was Pepticon. You know, so...
Wow.
I think they changed Pepticon to, what's the other con that turns your stomach? Although we probably know quite a few of them. But what is the medicine?
I don't know. I know that, like, Pepto-Bismol. I like that.
There you go. It would have been Pepto-Bismol in those days. And so he got so popular that he ended up going to Paris, France. And they didn't know he was gone. I said, when you coming back? He says, hey, I'm in Paris right now. So, you know, there's a lot of historic things that happen in Memphis, Tennessee, and we can get into so many aspects of that in our discussion, but it's all exciting. It's it's something I'm very proud of.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, for women especially, because my mom, they wanted to give her a cooking show, and I think she did it for a minute, and she just went, look, I can't cook. I'm not doing it. They said, so you better, you know, you guys got to come up with something else. And she always described it, Kiki, as being in a male-dominated industry as it was.
Yeah.
She said, when you are a woman in radio, you have to think like a man, act like a lady, but you got to work like a dog. You know, so that sums it up. So
that is perfect. But now, back in the day, though, did your mom tell you, how did she get that? How did she get those 3 traits? How did she figure that out?
My grandmother said that my mom was raised and she always wanted to take care of the little puppies and the animals and the birds and everything. You know, she really wanted to be a nurse. But while she was growing up, she was around a lot of the elderly ladies in the neighborhood. So she was an old soul.
Okay.
And then she began to watch her mother have to work very hard when she said that her father jumped in. There were some policemen in Memphis in her neighborhood who jumped on a man, and her father was coming back from work, and he jumped in the middle of it to save that man, and they ended up sending him to jail. Oh. And she watched her mother take control, take command, and go down to the polls. She was always very community-minded, and what she saw from her parents, she always wanted to help the underdog. She was always the one to jump in the middle of things. And if you told her no, that she couldn't accomplish something, she said that had nothing to do with her.
I love her. Really. I mean, that is so me.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Yeah, you can. You can do it.
Well, you know what's funny that when you said this right off the cuff, we were in the process of trying to do a documentary about my mom. So we're going to start with this sizzle reel. But when they first got interested, they were covering. You remember that hat that Aretha Franklin wore in the inauguration? It had a big bow on it.
Yes.
Well, the guy that did that was Luke Song, and that was Mr. Song's millinery. So my mother knew the father and the mother. She would come off the station, you know, after you've hyped yourself up and talked to everybody, you just get in your car, you just want to drive around and like, I remember her saying, turn off that radio, you know. We wanted to hear music, and she, you know, so she would just drive around and go window shopping. And so she came across this millinery. And so she met Luke Song's parents and just would go in there and buy things. And the next thing you know, it was like everybody was saying, have you seen that hat that the Queen is wearing? And everybody started buying their hats. So Disney is doing a series called Little America. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's going to be very soon. Oh. And so they covered Mr. Song's millinery because they were immigrants that came to America and have succeeded. And, of course, Aretha's hat got their attention, and Aretha, of course, you know, because everything is Aretha in this last 2 years. Mm-hmm. So as they began to listen to what he spoke about, including my mother, they wanted to interview me about her.
Oh,
and they
wow.
had no idea. Like, I would say that my mother is the who knew,
Yeah.
lady, where they knew about her in Memphis and Detroit within the record industry, the radio industry. Clive Davis, everybody knew about her. Politicians, because in the old days, she felt that, you have to sell and you have to entertain, but you must inform.
Mm-hmm.
And you must be the ear to the rail
Yep.
to help the people.
Yep.
And I know all formats are not like that, but that's how she always felt, to help the people. Give somebody a word, help them find something. And I don't know if I sent you that clip, but she says when they were at WDIA, people would call in and ask if they could help them find people. Or in one instance, a woman called and said, my husband lost his teeth at this party. So they put out the APB on the teeth.
Are you kidding?
No, I'll send it to you.
Go find some
And they
teeth.
found the teeth, and everybody was happy,
Well, as long as, you're making someone's day. But, speaking of your mother helping people, she was also an activist who convinced people over the air to stop rioting. She used her gift of being a DJ to get the people on the streets of Detroit in 1967. And it is said that the riots could have been much worse if it wasn't for your mom and what she did. Now, at that time, how were you viewing your mom? I mean, she was really, like you said, a big deal and doing all of these things to help people. So how were you looking at her at the age you were at?
When I was young?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so when I was young, I knew my mother as, she was very disciplined with us. And we took our piano lessons and our ballet lessons, and we had to get our studies, and nobody talked back, because you're also talking about the South. Your life if you do that, you're in trouble. But because of her, I would see her and watch her speak, and people, charisma. She had the charisma, but behind that, she had something to say, and she didn't lie. She didn't make up things. She didn't pump it up. She told you just the way it was, and everybody still had a good time because she always had humor with what she did. And she raised us with some strict codes, and I think from what I get from the people who are all grown in my age now, they would say, your mother raised me.
Wow.
And so we've got several generations of people in Memphis and in Detroit who constantly tell me how my mother raised them because their mother or their grandmother made them sit down and listen to what the Queen was talking about. And she talked about marriages, she talked about relationships and prayer, but let's take the relationship part. She would say, you all are out there praying for a man, and you have to pray, you want a companion. You want a companion. So you have to pray for whether you really want. Be specific about what you want in life. Or you'll get a companion, and it may be a dog or a cat, So the one thing that she taught all of us, me, my sisters, and the cities that she was broadcast, is you give credit where credit is due. People, they're going to take your word. So have your integrity together.
Yep.
Do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that, I heard her on the radio a few times, where she would say, let me get back to something here. I told you this is how let me go through a little bit more detail, because she wanted to make sure she was clear. And she demanded that everybody be clear with her. And when you were in her presence and you weren't clear, or you were getting ready to tell, she could read you like more than a book.
Love that.
Put a telescope under it, and she could see you coming and going. And they knew that about her.
Yeah.
And we certainly did.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you lived with her. You lived it.
Oh, heck yeah. Yes. And
so how did she make, well, actually, I shouldn't say how did she make, but was radio important to you like it was to your mom?
Well, because I have a family that's steeped in music, and my dad was a jazz musician. He had his own orchestra, and I just love to see the dancers on TV, and I mean, I loved it. And when I saw her on stage, I loved it. At the time, I don't think my sisters did. They got embarrassed. They went, "Oh my God!" You know? And then if we were sitting in the audience, there would be thousands of people there, and then she'd say, "And there are my daughters in the front over here," or the host of the show would say, "And over here on the left are the daughters of Martha Jean the Queen." They would duck under the seats, and I'd sit there and I'd go,
"Hi, here I am."
"Hi," you know, like. But it wasn't like showboating. It was like, yeah, and that's my mom. I was proud of her. So I would say that it influenced me, where it's just part of my DNA.
Yeah.
Martha Jean's genes are definitely part of it. So it wasn't uncommon for us to be around B.B. King and Gus Cannon. He was the guy that wrote, "Come right in, sit right down, baby, let your hair hang down." You know,
my
for
gosh.
and I know you're young, so I better go back.
I'm not that young. We have things to help that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, yeah. We got to get together and talk. So, but we were around Willie Mitchell and all the Stax museums, excuse me, I'm thinking Stax Museum because they just sent me something today. Stax musicians.
Yep.
Willie Mitchell, Isaac Hayes.
Oh my God. Otis Redding.
Etta
James.
Yeah, I wasn't around Etta James then, but my parents knew her. And then when they were jazz musicians, we even knew who the jazz musicians were. And they would come to the house, and they were in the front room jamming.
Oh my gosh.
And so it I don't know. I never thought anything about it. I didn't say, "Ooh, look at." I think one thing I got from it is I always appreciate people and respect them for what they do, and the huge legacy that they have passed on to all of us. But at the time, this is where they say youth is wasted on the young. You're around all these great people, and they tell you this person did this, they did that, and we go, "Oh, okay," you know.
But now you must totally today turn around and go, "Oh my gosh," and take a deep breath and say, "That was my life."
Yeah, absolutely. And, my uncle was in the Booker T and the MGs.
Yep.
And
Steve Cropper. Yep.
Yeah. Steve Cropper was a session musician at Stax, along with Booker T. Jones, Al Jackson, Louis Steinberg. Duck Dunn came along later. He was Steve Cropper's classmate from, I think, kindergarten times. They grew up together.
Yep.
So Steve got him in the Marquees. And the Marquees, they were the group with the horns and everything. But what people don't know is that when the Marquees hit Last Night came out, that was the Marquees playing the horns on that session. My Uncle Louis played the bass on that because Duck Dunn went fishing with his grandfather that day, so they called him up to play on that. So that's basically the only big hit for the Marquees that Duck Dunn didn't play on.
Wow.
But going back to Booker T and the MGs. They were there for a session, and the guy didn't show up, and they were waiting and waiting, and they just decided to start jamming. My uncle tells this story. He says he loved Peter Gunn, and the bass line for Peter Gunn, that whole horn thing, was like. Okay, he loved it. But then he started playing it, and they just started chiming in, and a miracle happens. And the next thing is the guy in the studio had the wherewithal to start recording it. And I think they went over it a few times, but then it sounded so good that after a while they had to come up with a name. So that's how they were born, in the studio.
That's crazy. That's just crazy. And isn't it funny how things organically can happen, just like your mom, radio pioneer, and she was a trailblazer as well. And then you come along with your sisters, but you're the one that kind of gleaned, that artistic talent from her. So what do you think that one thing is from your mom that said, you know what, I'm going to go off and I'm going to be an actress, I'm going to be a singer, and I'm going to do this?
Well, at first, I just wanted to be a dancer.
Really?
Look, when things come easy to you, like piano, I started playing when I was 5. My mom says they gave me ballet, my little dance lessons around 4. So it was just all, you were just expected to do it, and it was a flow. It's just, I don't know, if you have a swimming pool and you swim every day, I don't think that you think about why you didn't end up being one of these really good swimmers.
Yeah.
Music was every day. It was, when I saw my mother dress up and go out, and that certainly captured my imagination. Because I used to love Loretta Young. She'd go down those stairs, with the whirling fabrics, and that appealed to my classical background, Yeah. And then I think this might help too. We went to a Catholic school for 12 years. It was a mission school.
There you go. But yeah, there you go. Right there.
So Sister Mary Evangelist, as soon as I got in first grade, I was, my piano lessons were already started at 5. So she took me over, and that was it.
Wow.
And then you hear the music every day. But I think what's really wonderful about being in my family is that Dad played jazz. In fact, my Uncle Louis wanted to be a trumpet player like my dad, so he started in trumpet first. And until my dad came back one day, because his bass player took a gig with someone else, and he just got tired of it. So he went out and got an upright bass, put it on top of the car, because that's all you could do unless you had a big bus or van or something. And he took it back to Louis. He said, "You got a gig tonight." He says, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You're going to play this bass." He says, "I don't know what to do with this." He says, "Just go up and down the neck until you find a note that works, but we're gigging tonight." And that's how Louis got started. But, I remember hearing my Uncle Louis saying, because he was the youngest in the Steinberg family, and there were 15 kids. So he was the youngest son. And he said, "I used to listen to my brothers in the front room, and it sounded so good to me, and I used to say to myself, I got to get me some of that." I mean, so I think that kind of says it for me.
Yeah.
It sounds good. You're going to get some of that. I mean, I just got it, Sometimes you feel like when you've been kind of spoiled, you better learn how to get your passion together and work harder at it.
Yeah, and you got it. In 1978, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie, that was released, and you were Lucy You were Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds from the original Beatles song. You're Lucy in the movie. Tell us about how you found out about the audition and what was your competition like for that role?
So this will be the first time you're hearing this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go.
All right.
You ready, Al? All right.
Yes, I'm always ready. Go.
At Atlantic Records, and I did that while I was teaching high school in Battle Creek, Michigan. I was teaching choir music and choreography and all that stuff.
So you were a teacher before you got that role?
Yes.
Wow.
And it was during that time that I learned how to even play some other keyboard stylings because of some of the students who were in my class. They were just amazing. I will always remember and love Vera Wardlow for that, because we had a group of kids that met in the afternoon at lunchtime. Everybody comes to the choir room, So, and these kids were from different churches, and I didn't know how to play gospel music with my classical background. I knew a little jazz, but I never played bebop. And so, I know the story. It kind of folds over into itself to leads to where I'm going here. So be patient with me.
I'm being patient. We're all being patient.
So what I learned when I was teaching from the classical piano accompanying, going to Europe with them, having to choreograph with them, everything that I ever wanted to do, dance, sing, direct, And then when I decided to go for my second album, I was by then in Los Angeles, and I finished it, and I was at ABC Records with Otis Smith, and there was a guy by the name of Charlie Minor. Write that name down because there's a story about him too, but I won't go into that.
I'm writing it down.
Charlie Minor was, I think, head of A&R at the time, and he came in and he looked at my album cover, and I don't know if you have that album in front of you or whatever, but on the front is the Universal Child album, and on the inside is a very provocative picture of me, done by Buddy Rosenberg. So he looked at the picture, and he said, why don't you come in the office?
Oh, jeez. That's how it all starts, right?
So I'm standing there. Otis Smith is saying, don't go in that office. Now why was Otis Smith that way? Because he knew my mother, and he knew that if anybody messed with Martha Jean's daughter,
get a whooping.
Maybe their records wouldn't get played. Of course, that was not it, but he wasn't going to mess around. So Charlie says, listen, Diane, just stand there in the doorway. You don't have to come in. Just stand there in the doorway, and I want you to listen to something. So he makes a call. He opens up my album, and he says, can I speak to Fern Champion? He said, Fern, I found your Lucy. He says, I'm looking at her right now.
Come on.
I didn't know what he was talking about. So he hung up the phone, and he said, let's go back in Otis's office. He says, listen, they've been looking for Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds over there for weeks, and they haven't found anyone. They said that Carly Simon, they wanted Carly Simon, but she just didn't want to do it. She was kind of camera shy, or
my mouth is open right now. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah. And then Natalie Cole tried out, and Donna Summers tried out. And,
oh my God!
Thelma Hopkins and quite a few other names. And it was a mixed group. It wasn't just black girls. Carly Simon. It was more.
Right.
And I think they wanted Olivia Newton-John for Strawberry.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't know exactly what was going on with all of that, but now I'm going to have to back up a minute because I'm going to give you something else to drop your mouth over.
I don't know. The Carly Simon did it for me. You know what I mean?
Carly Simon? Hey,
that's it.
I love
and
her.
Donna Summer.
Listen, all the girls that play piano, because I'm a pianist, all the singers who played and wrote the music, Carly Simon, Melissa Manchester,
love Melissa.
Roberta Flack, these were of Nina Simone. These were the women that I emulated. That when Mom wouldn't let me go out because she was so strict, I was in the basement during 14 and 15 years old, like woodshedding all of their things. And I would get the albums. If you are the child of a DJ, especially in those days, the record company sent you all the albums. So I was able to hear Rufus before anybody. I heard Jimi Hendrix before anybody.
Wow.
I remember, especially Rufus, that really, because I couldn't understand. There was a girl in the band, and it's Rufus. But so my mom would give me she wanted me to audition the record. She'd go, listen to them and tell me which ones you like. So I would listen to them, Mom, you got to listen to this one, I had a couple of bombs, but then she took me, she said, forget about it after that. But so I was able to cut my teeth on songs, an artist who no one heard of for a very long time. And when I say that, you didn't hear about them until later. Like Roberta Flack. I was playing First Time Ever I Saw Your Face in the clubs in Kalamazoo, Michigan, because I went to school at Western Michigan University. And I did the piano there. And I would play, and they go, what is that song? I said, it's First Time Ever I Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack. At first I didn't tell them. They thought I wrote it. But anyway, so...
You should have went with that, right?
Nah, you can't lie. They'll find out.
Yeah, it's true. Everybody finds out.
But when I said Roberta Flack, and Roberta who? Flack. Then all of a sudden, 5 years later, here comes Play Misty for Me. Al, you remember that one?
Yes, I sure do. I'm in awe right now.
Well, that was when, see, I'm looking at his face right now, who was the star of that Play Misty for Me, the guy? I'm getting old, guys.
It's Al. No, I'm just kidding.
Huh?
I said it's Al. I'm just kidding. Wait a minute.
Well, anyway, then Roberta Flack is the theme that's played, and I went, my God, people are just discovering this song. And I think it was not Laurie Anderson, but there was another young lady, another singer-songwriter who had performed the song before Roberta Flack. But, so anyway, let's get back to Sgt. Pepper. I finished before I was even finished with the album, I asked a friend of mine who had done the album cover with me. And her name was Siri, and I love her. I haven't seen her in years. In fact, I haven't seen her since we had this conversation, but I'm sending her all the love, because if she hadn't said to me what she said, I would not have even gone for Sgt. Pepper's, because I told my manager, Dick Broder, I said, I don't want to be in any movie with rock stars who cannot act. So he didn't tell me about Sgt. Pepper. But then when I spoke to Siri, she said, oh, there's this movie, Sgt. Pepper, I think it's going to be Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees. And I went, really? Well, when is that? And she said, they're casting for it now. Now, this is prior to me meeting Charlie Minor.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said to her, I said, well, I think I'll try out for it. And she says, well, you're not going to get it. And I said, and why is that? She said, because my friend Donna Summers is trying out for it. You're not going to get it. So she made me mad.
And you turned into your mom. Oh, she says, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, honey. I just went, Siri, I'll call you back. So I called Broder, and I said, how come you didn't tell me about this movie? He said, because you said you didn't want to act with any rock? I said, well, this is different. So he says, okay, well, let's move forward on it and see what we can do. Come to find out, after Charlie Minor called Fern Champion, she or somebody in the casting had gone to school with Dick Broder. So listen, I just look at it all as a blessing. You start something, if you're willing to go for something and don't put limitations on it, and you just go for it, everything opens up. It all falls into place.
And let's face it, Siri made you mad.
Well, what'd you say?
Siri made you mad.
Yeah, she made me mad. And then my mother actually said to me, doesn't seem like you get moving on anything until somebody makes you mad. You have to prove a point. Now, that's good, but sometimes you need to just jump off a diving board whether anybody makes you mad or not.
It's true.
It's all up to where are you? What is it that you want? And she put out a spoken word record, and one of the cuts on that record was, do you really want to make it? Oh, and I went, oh, God, she's talking to me in this record. Because that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
If you really want it, you can have it.
That's right.
Ask for it and you will receive. But, I like the other part of the Lord's Prayer that says, don't give me anything that I'm going to act a fool and kill myself over. But, it's your determination has to come from not only your passion and the favor that just happens to fall in place. Being at the right place at the right time is one thing, but I think sometimes it's more than luck. It's something that comes out of you that attracts it to you. So that's my sermon for today.
Well, I love that. And let's just ask the question. So you and Peter Frampton were pretty close in the movie.
Everyone was professional, okay?
Come on, Diane. Lay it on the line. Come on. The hair, come on. Peter Frampton had just gotten off, 1976. He had a multi-platinum album, Frampton Comes Alive. He beat out Fleetwood Mac's self-titled album and had the best-selling album of 1976. And now you're next to him. What's up? What's up? Come on. You were close.
Well, I had a boyfriend. I'm one of those true blue types. But let's see. Let me dig a little dirt here. Peter had a girlfriend. She was the one that got him that look. The blonde locks and the makeup. Slight makeup. And when I met her, she looks just like him. I don't remember her name, but they had the whole cast go to when Saturday Night Fever came out. The director called and said, "Okay, everybody, we're going to see Saturday Night Fever at the Chinese Grauman Theater."
Oh my gosh!
And so we were all there. Oh my God! You're taking me way back.
Good, because
we should have done an outline.
Let me tell you, I wish I was you, because that is my time. That I wish I could have been you. Seriously, not even kidding.
Well, Michael Schultz.
Yep.
He was the director.
And he directed Starsky and Hutch, The Rockford Files, Car Wash, Grease Lightning, and here you are working with him.
Yeah, and when we were at the Chinese Grauman Theater, because we didn't know really what we were going to see, or we were all excited, and he said, "I think you could have played that role." But you know what?
Oh my gosh!
I'm glad I didn't.
Really?
Well, yeah, because, do you even remember the girl? You remember the girl that played the role when you see the movie.
I do, but I literally just looked her up, and I forgot her name.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they would have remembered my name from that, but you can't do two things at once, can you? Well, anyway, it is what it is.
It's true.
As far as my closeness to Peter Frampton, he had a girlfriend, and, I didn't... We had our little love scene together, and that was quite cozy.
That's what I'm saying. All right. So let's move over then. Okay, so you and Peter, you had a boyfriend.
What do you
had to go.
know?
Well, like, all right, wait. So apparently nothing happened, right?
Happened what?
Like, all right,
How?
did you make out with him?
What? In the scene?
No, like outside of the scene.
Off the scene? Hell no. Listen, I'm bigger than Peter Frampton. No.
Oh, stop.
Show me the way.
The pictures of you, like, hello, how could anyone keep their hands off you? I'm just saying. And then let's go over to Steven Tyler then. Let's move away from Peter.
Okay.
And let's talk about Steven Tyler. Now, he was just, I mean, Aerosmith was completely hot. And they did the Beatles cover Come Together. And
it was fabulous, wasn't it?
Oh, my gosh.
Remember we were in the wagon getting our hair and makeup done. And we get this big boom music. It was so loud. We go, who the hell is that? And then we look out. I mean, all of us in the cast. and I think, let's see, I think the Gibbs were in there with us that day, and the guy that played Dougie, Paul Nicholas. And we looked out, and honey, you're talking about rock and roll to the bone, to the soul, to the dress, to the hair. I mean, when that bus came around the corner, it was like, it was frightening.
Oh, stop. It was wonderful. It had to be wonderful.
In a good way. It was like, holy. And then they got out of the bus, and I mean, they were ready. They had, Stephen came out. They were who they are, honey. I mean, it was like they live it.
So did you have any close connection with any of the boys of Boston?
Well, I remember when we had our press party. All the press was there, and they kind of rotated us from table to table, you know, with all the press being different tables. You know, well, we rotated, the artist rotated. So, but right before that started, and this was in New York. And right before that started, they all came in and we were taking pictures. And then he said, Luce, you know, instead of Lucy, hey, Luce. And I went, my fellow villains are here. And so we went over and took pictures. I don't know where those pictures are.
You got to find something.
But now listen. We were in Chicago the same time they were there, and I was working out. Now, when I say we, Steve Miller Band was in the hotel, and so I went down to work out, and I looked at the workout room, and there's Steve and everybody. I'm going, oh my God. So I went up to him, and I said, I don't know if you remember me, Steve. And he goes, Luce.
No, he didn't. Oh, my gosh.
You know, because after Sgt. Pepper, Kenny's bands were starting to take off, you know. And I'm thinking, well, it's time to do another record. And what I did was I began to diversify. I wrote the theme song for Evening at the Improv.
Oh, wow.
I was doing producing and writing, you know, and we did a few TV shows and some songs from movies and things like that. Natalie Cole, Cleo Lane, who was one of my jazz favorites, covered some of my songs. And so that's where I was going. You know, like doing commercials. I even did some radio commercials for my mother's station and voiceovers and things like that. It was just me doing it for Mom. I never took it real serious, but I always feel that whatever you do, see how many ways, other channels of yourself you can go into.
Yeah.
And I wanted Kenny's band to really make it, you know. And Sgt. Pepper came out late, and then I almost feel like it was almost a year later that we finally went and maybe it was 9 months that we finally went to New York. and the Cinerama Dome here in L.A. New York, we went to Studio 54 for the party. But we were at Radio City Music Hall when we walked out. And you know, Alice Cooper, everybody, we just all got along.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you get along with
Cheryl, Alice Cooper's wife?
Oh my gosh, yeah, they've been together over 40 years.
Forever. And he's doing marvelous things. Cheryl and Alice have done, whenever they perform, they make sure that they are doing things with children and programs for developing their artistry. I mean, it's and then she is working with lots of dancers, and they post what they're doing. I'm so proud of them.
Yeah, they constantly give back. Constantly.
Constantly. So, I don't know if I answered any of your questions.
It's fine, and you know what? It's fine. It's fine, but we're not done yet. I'm just saying.
Okay, but I'll tell you this. Where's Kenny? Okay, all right. I'll just tell you.
All right, good.
Is Al listening?
Probably.
Okay.
No, not at all. Go ahead. I'm not listening. Go ahead.
You know that bit that when Peter Frampton and I are on the revolving record.
Yeah.
Well, first they started out with the revolving record, and it's hard. No, it started as a waterbed, right? So I get him to sign the contract.
Okay.
So then, we're supposed to start making out after you sign the contract, whatever. So now they had to break because they had to put in the record that spins on a hard surface because you can't spin a waterbed, So the thing is starting to rotate. And the centrifugal force, I'm the only one on it because Peter didn't get back on there yet. And it starts going faster and faster, and I'm starting to come off that thing. And a guy tries to catch me, one of the crew guys. He tries to catch me, but as he's reaching out for me, his hand goes right in my face, just a big fist. I didn't swell up or anything.
Are you kidding?
These things happen on sets, but so that we got everything to calm down, and now Peter and I are there again, and they want. I don't know if I should tell you this, but anyway,
you need to.
They want us to start with the kissing, and you can do the Hollywood kiss.
You do what you need to do.
After you go so long, things start to slip here and there, So it was very nice. So afterwards, I said to Peter, I says, it was so nice working with you. That was really good. And you kiss very well. Is that enough for you?
I knew it.
I don't want to tell you any more than that.
Oh, there's more. I knew. You know what, Diane? Listen, you can't.
No, there's not more. We did not do anything. After that, it was like, that was it. I got a ride in a limousine, dropped me off at my apartment, and that was it.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take that.
This is a family show.
I'll go away.
It's a family show.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
All right. That's it.
All right, now, wait, will we just... Let's move on to, though...
And he does kiss very well.
Do you see what I'm saying? Of course.
I knew it. Okay, go on.
Of course you kissed him.
Listen, this is thirsty.
Just one thirsty.
It's your fault. Okay, I'm going to have a sip now.
Go for it. You go, girl. All right, I'm going to have a sip, too. We're going to sip together.
And I'll have a sip, too. We're not going to eat by the bottle right now.
That's very, very good.
Here's to a slip of the tongue. Okay, there you go.
Oh.
Diane said it. You did not say
God.
it.
No, I mean, it wasn't that much.
I'm going to call Peter Frampton up right now.
Al, would you go away? Go away. Oh, my God. I love it.
Listen.
Oh, honey, that is wonderful.
Well, you know what?
It was good, right? It was good.
I like Kenny's kisses.
I know you like Kenny, and Kenny likes you a lot. I get it because I see your Facebook.
But in those days, yeah, we were young. We were young.
No, Kenny's...
Okay.
Kenny's still chasing you around. I see your little posts on Facebook. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, these two need to get a room, and you live together. So...
Yeah, no, he's always after me.
That's a good thing. It's a really good thing. But now I got to ask you. So the Beatles' former and late manager, George Martin, he was the musical director for that movie. And it was based around the two Beatles albums, Sgt. Pepper's and Abbey Road. Now, Were any of the Beatles involved with it, and did you meet any of them?
Okay, so when I first came to Hollywood, I had another manager. His last name was Wiener, and he was very good friends with Perry Botkin, who wrote "God Bless the Beast and the Children."
Oh, wow.
I think it was on the theme that they played for a long time for The Young and the Restless, right?
Oh my gosh!
So they wanted to take me in the studio to redo this song. Just Call Me Angel in the Morning song.
Oh, yes, Juice Newton.
Well, we cut it, and I listened to it, and we went, nah. But anyway, so, Perry Botkin had a party at his house, and so Michael Wiener said, I want you to come over. And in fact, it was at Perry Botkin's first party that my mother went with me because she was managing me in those days with the record part of it. And I met Otis Smith, and then, of course, I told you about the ABC hookup after that. But the second party at Perry's was a party for Harry Nilsson. So Harry's walking around. I meet Stella Stevens, like all the ones I've seen on TV when I was growing up. Oh, my God, all that. So Perry Botkin gave a third party, and that one was for me, for Michael. And Harry Nilsson was there again. And there were lots of other stars. And me and this girl, another little starlet in the city that was coming up, and we're standing there, and out comes George Burns, and he goes, hello, girl. So we talked to him forever. We're having a great time asking him about Gracie and all the stuff. And then the door opens, and I look over my right shoulder, and I go, oh, there's a crowd coming in here. And they come over, and they head toward where we're talking with George. And so I'm looking at the guy, and then Perry says, Diane, I want to introduce you to John Lennon.
Oh.
And I met John with May Pang because he had just broken up with
Yep. Oh, wow. May Pang was there. Holy moly.
And he came with about 6 people. And so he looked at me, and we shook hands, and, there was not a lot of talk. But I'll always remember that. And then the second person I met of the Beatles was, of course, Paul. And that was for Earth Day. 1993, Earth Day at the Hollywood Bowl, and we were all backstage because I forgot. It was for Earth Day. What am I? I'm losing it now. I'm not going to drink anymore. All right, here we go. So everybody's telling the stars. I'm standing next to Michael Keaton and what is that group? The 10,000 Maniacs or something like that.
Yeah. Natalie Brickell, yeah.
Right. And so, and then the Steve Miller Band is there, and then I see Katie Lang, and so the guy on the side, we're all waiting for a cue from backstage to go on stage, and then finally we get it. Nobody's moving. And then finally Paul's going, come on. So we all go on stage, and now this is many years after I've done Sgt. Pepper, okay? And my daughter is back there and everything, So I'm walking out with Kenny and the Steve Miller Band, and Paul is right there, and he goes, hi, Diane, and he gives me a big kiss.
Are you kidding?
No.
But had you met him when you were doing the movie or no?
Well, he's good friends with Steve Miller, and he was in his trailer, so, Steve might have talked to him and said, Diane was inside. So he could have been all knowing,
But still, that's so sweet.
But I'll tell you, this is another thing. There were background singers we were all going to sing together on Hey Jude. In fact, if you go on CNN for Earth Day 1993, you'll see the clip that aired that night, and you'll see me and Kenny back there with our mouths singing Hey Jude.
Yep, I watched it. It was really cute. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're right behind Paul McCartney. There they are, right there. They're right there.
Now listen, there was a background singer.
It was you.
A very renowned background singer who got all the background singers together who were going to sing on the side, okay? And so my friends, who were also musicians, they had been called to sing with the background singers. And I went, well, that'd be nice to do that with them. And they kept saying, come on, Diane, come on and sing with us. And, I'm not one, if the conductor or whatever does not allow it, I'm not just going to run over there. And so I tried to get her attention, and she wouldn't look at me. And then somebody else tried to get her attention, and she wouldn't look at me. And I went, well, that's okay. Kenny said, don't worry about it. You're going out with us. And so I walked out with the Steve Miller Band, and there I was up there, and Paul was kissing and hugging me, and Ringo was behind her, and Katie Lang, and God, so we had a good time.
Oh, boy. Of course you had a good time. That's like crazy.
Well, yeah, but you kind of go, okay, I better quit with this margarita. Is everybody out there having a good time on Thirsty Thursday?
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Woo! Okay.
Diane, it's just me and you right now. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's,
come on.
No, there's a lot of other people right now. I'm telling you.
No, it's just Diane and I.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Go away.
Diane, I'm sorry.
Don't listen to him.
Is this all boring? Am I talking to you?
No,
I love it.
Al just needs to go away.
I'm drinking more as I listen to you. Goodbye.
So anyway, in the scheme of things, time keeps ticking into the future, right?
I love that. Well, and that was a good lead-in to...
So Steve Miller we're all at the Four Seasons because Steve Miller is in town to do something else, and Paul is doing another show at the Hollywood Bowl, and so they're all in the same hotel. But I didn't know that Paul was there. So we're out at the pool, and my daughter, who now is 13, and she had on a T-shirt of James Jamerson. You know, the Funk Brothers, the bass player for the Funk Brothers. That was James Jamerson.
Yeah.
Now, here's something else. My mother was, she had a show at the Chit Chat Lounge. Because all DJs, you spin the records for people to dance, and then you have live musicians come in and all that in a day. I don't know if they do that anymore. But
they don't, but they did.
So the band was Earl Van Dyke's band. And my mother said, they were getting their sound check and everything together, and she says, Lord have mercy. She said, you all are funky. She said, I'm going to call you the Funky Brothers. And she went, no, let's just call it the Funk Brothers. So she named the Motown session players, section players, the Funk Brothers. So that's another little bit of trivia and history that everybody knows in Detroit, but now you know it.
Well, and I love knowing that, and thank you for the trivia tidbit, because I'm sure you've got a whole book of them.
Well, yeah, I have a lot, but I'm going to tie this in because I don't know, I might be talking too long, so I better get this in real fast. So James Jamerson Jr. had a book called Standing in the Shadows of Motown, which was a collection of all the songs that James Jamerson played on for Motown, with all the renowned bass players playing their version, the one song of James Jamerson's from the Motown catalog. And it was called Standing in the Shadows of Motown. As you know, years later, they came with that documentary, Standing in the Shadows of Motown. So at the time, we got T-shirts, we got all the memorabilia. So my 13-year-old, Kendra, is wearing the James Jamerson bass player of all time T-shirt.
That is cool.
Okay, and so now we're going back to our room, and I see this tall, beautiful girl and another bevy of people coming out of the from the pool. They were right in the hallway there, and Kendra's in front of me. So Kenny and I, we walk by, and she's surrounded. And we're going, wow, what is that all about? So then she caught up with us in the hallway, and she said, Kenny says, wow, well, who were those people? He said they were admiring my James Jamerson T-shirt. And she said, well, they must have been musicians or something. And she said, yeah, it was Paul McCartney. So it was Paul McCartney and who he's married to now, that's right before they got married. And we went, that was Paul?
Oh, My gosh. How cool is that?
So Kenny goes, well, Paul's a bass player. And by the way,
Paul does everything.
Kenny was my bass player first. He went with Steve Miller as the lead guitarist for many years until a few years back, I think maybe 2013 maybe, where the bass player fell out of a tree and broke his foot in 5 places.
Oh,
and since then, Kenny has been playing bass for the Steve Miller Band.
Wow. So I was going to ask you, Diane, I'm going to throw out a date at you.
Uh-oh.
November 19th of 1983.
Yeah, that was our wedding day.
So, Diane, how did you meet your wonderful husband from the Steve Miller Band? Tell us how you met.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, I needed a bass player because I was just about to sign with ABC Records. And I talked to Otis Smith, and he said, look, your record's out. We're getting ready to, put it all together. You got to get ready for your tour. And no, cancel all that out. I'm ahead of myself. Excuse me. They wanted me to go into the studio and start recording this project. And I had already met Kenny. I was subbing for Clydeen Jackson on keyboard at the Sunset Hyatt. You know, the Sunset where all the rockers used to go and tear up the furniture and throw it out the window and stuff.
Yeah.
The same one that was in the Sgt. Pepper movie, by the way.
Cool.
So I'm subbing, and my friend Jeff Paris comes in, keyboard player. And I know Jeff, and I was getting tired now, and I know if he wants to sing, he'll be up there all night. I could probably go on a vacation and come back, and he'll still be singing. So he brought in this kid, this guy, and I had just finished talking to Olivia Newton-John's producer and boyfriend. I forgot their names right now. And there was another rocker that was staying in the hotel. See if Kenny was here, he can help me remember this. But anyway, he had just come down and sat in, so I let Jeff sit in, and she said, by the way, this is Kenny Lewis. He plays guitar. And so he went up and played, and then we all went out for lunch. We all went out for late breakfast at Tiny Naylor's that night, and then they got in touch with me because they wanted a girl singer for their band. But now by that time, I can't do it because I'm working on an album. Okay, so my agent says, you have to go somewhere. We're going to put you at the Holiday Inn in Ventura on the beach. You're going to play, and you're going to finish writing the rest of your songs so we can get this thing released already. And the bass player I was going to use, Herb Mickman, had gone to Paris to do a jazz gig. In fact, I was going to do a jazz trio up there at the Holiday Inn overlooking the beach. So I couldn't find him. And so Jeff said, hey, why don't you hire Lewis to do it? And I just went, just as long as he can read, because I had lots of charts. And so Kenny, who had seen me at the Continental Hyatt House with my layered wig on and my long eyelashes and everything. See, when I took that stuff out, I looked like the washerwoman. I have a babushka on and, jeans and, no makeup, because all that makeup stuff is for later, So he comes in, and he looks like he just came off a fishing boat. Now, he says he was dressed very well. We have different stories. You can ask him when you interview him. But that damn hat he had on, he claims that was kind of a pimp-looking hat. And I went, oh, no. It looked like the Beverly Hillbillies hat, the one with the fishing lures in it,
yes.
Buddy Ebsen used to wear.
Buddy Ebsen. Oh, my gosh. No one has said that name to me in decades. It's hysterical, Buddy
He
Ebsen.
swears that I saw the wrong thing. Nope, that's what I saw. And then, of course, when he saw me, he went, "Where's Diane?" So we started playing, and, oh, God, we ended up there for about 3 months, and we got to know each other, and, he wanted to teach me how to play the flute, because he just wanted me to pucker up, and then, well, one thing led to another.
So it was better than Peter Frampton.
Yeah. Is he in here? He's listening. Okay. Yes, it was so much better than Peter Frampton. Of course it was.
Of course it was, Diane.
It was cute.
You had two beautiful daughters, Sierra and Kendra.
Yeah. And Kendra's at Maryland Institute College of Art finishing up her senior year. She dropped out for about 2 or 3 years, but she's back and finishing up and doing very well.
Good for her.
And in graphics and illustration. And my older daughter, Sierra, she's been at DreamWorks and Netflix.
Oh, wow.
And she's in animation. She went to Laguna College of Art and Design in Laguna Beach. And she's gotten to work with, I don't know if you ever remember Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Whoa! She got to work with all of the people whose work she admired, and always wanted to go to Disney. So she on Netflix she has Archibald's Next Big Thing, that she was the art director, and then right when she's doing very well, and now she's at Disney as art director over there.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Oh, so you're just a little proud of your girls.
Yes, I am.
Oh.
I'm glad nobody's calling me for money, so,
And, just one more thing before we go. So you guys just did, Kenny performed at the Tunnels to Towers event in Jones Beach with Steve Miller Band. Ann Wilson of Heart was there. And also another group that was there, my fave, besides Steve Miller, of course, Journey.
Yeah.
And I was told that you have a Steve Perry connection.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, can you please share, please?
When I was auditioning who was going to be my band for the ABC thing, see, when I was in the studio, I had many of the guys in Toto before they became Toto. So I played with all of them. And Steve Lukather, guitar player for Toto, he was on the Midnight Special with me.
Oh, wow.
Shoot, what was your question again? I'm getting all...
Your Steve Perry connection.
Oh, Steve Perry. So when we were auditioning who was going to be in the band, of course, Toto was starting to get their thing together, so that was out. And when we finally had a rehearsal, we figured, I'm going to be looking for background singers. And so somebody said, well, Steve Perry's available. Now, Kenny tells this story much better than I do, because I remember when he left the rehearsal to go down to one of the other apartments to talk to who I found out was Steve Perry. And Steve was not working at the time. He was getting very excited and was going to be my background singer. But then I got Sgt. Pepper.
Oh,
and then according to the story Kenny tells, he got so upset that he ended up just walking away from the business and worked on a chicken farm somewhere. They found him, I guess Neil Sean, when he was looking for a singer, they found him later there. They had to get somebody to go get him to come back into the industry.
At a chicken farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenny will tell you.
He didn't.
And if Steve is listening, you can call him and you can tell the story, because, I didn't even know that Luther Vandross was at Western Michigan University and we were in the same talent show. I had no idea.
What?
So
Oh my, I can't.
And now my friends say, remember? No. Okay. So there's some wonderful tidbits in life that come your way, and I've been blessed to be around all of it,
Absolutely. And what is one of your most memorable reunions that you've had with one of your Sgt. Pepper's castmates?
Memorable. Wow, memorable. Well, I would say when, excuse me, when Peter Frampton opened up for Steve Miller, that was nice because he opened up for him 3 years in a row, so I saw him every year.
Oh,
and
wow.
Listen, we would just say, "Hey, how you doing?" and move on, But memorable, I think the most memorable was getting together again with Donald Pleasance, who played BD in the movie and has been in so many movies. In fact, I will be in a book that's coming out of London with F. Murray Abraham and lots of people who worked with Donald Pleasance. That's coming out this next year about our experiences with him. And I haven't seen Sandy Farina, but we've talked on the phone, and we kind of talked about maybe getting together before it's all over and Lucy and Strawberry do something. I mean, there's been many things, but I'll tell you, one of the things I will always also hold very dear to me is how George Martin, my conversations with him, and him allowing me with Jeff, the guy that was his engineer, and I said, "Can I just sit here and watch you guys work?" And when everybody left, I was able to just sit there and watch them mix and do, and they would give me their hints and everything, And so it's been lots of things. And then Billy Preston, my mother and I have known him for a long time, so seeing him later on and being able to talk to him before he went in the hospital is also something very precious to me.
Wow. So you come from, obviously, a very talented family. Your dad was a jazz musician. Your mom, again, a radio pioneer.
Yeah.
Enormous talent surrounded you as a person. What is one trait that you think you carry with you from both your mom and your dad?
The innate gift that has just come to me just by way of listening. I don't know, there's a phrase in the Bible, faith comes by hearing. Mm-hmm. And so when you hear and are around these things, like I said earlier in our interview today, it's something that's planted in you. And then the other part of what was my mother gave me is you don't keep this just for yourself. I find such joy in the students that I've taught, the adults that I've met that wanted to have a musical experience, and so I've been able to work with so many people through Cabaret 805 here at Cuesta College, and just to see so many that would otherwise have given up either hope for themselves or just not have anything, to give them music as something that could carry them through their hard times, or when they're down on themselves, or when they don't believe in themselves, or when they don't think they can do something. That's how I use the gift I've been given. And that's really what it's all about. We're not, you just have to, you get it and you have to give it away. And it becomes so much bigger.
That is wonderful. And it's true. We talk about it here all of the time. And
all the time.
We do how music is just a part of this whole community. It's our life. And I literally say this every single day. Music is a part of my life every single day. It doesn't matter what you listen to, what you like. As long as it uplifts you and it makes you happy, that's all that matters.
And you know something? It's when you pour into other people, it's like the first shall be last and the last shall be first. You have to pour into other people in order for the greatness to come out in not only yourself, but it comes back to you.
Right.
It goes out and it flows back to you. It's so wonderful. It's fulfilling. Because if you just keep it for yourself, we can put on crowns, we can drive big cars and everything else. But at the end of the day, I can come right home and listen to music, or hear someone sing. And the guy that have been working with here is on his journey to the next plane of life. And so last night I was able to play my piano, and I said, "This is for you, Grant," and just play the songs that he always wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And that's kind of touching me now. So
I can hear it. I can definitely hear it in your voice.
Yeah. So when we, especially you with your gift of gab and Al and all, when we entertain, we teach, even when we don't know it. And when we teach, we entertain. And entertain, we teach. So
no, it's
that's
beautiful.
Big circle.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. And thank you, Diane. We really thank you so much for sharing all of this tonight and just your connections to some of the greatest artists that we grew up with and love. It's just amazing to hear about that, and really more amazing for you to have been able to joyously work with all of these people. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you sharing your stories. And here's to hoping that Kenny continues to chase you around the house, even when you're right there and he tells everyone he's chasing you.
Yeah, I'll let him catch me tonight.
Oh, great. I'm so glad we know that now. Thanks, Diane.
More at 11.
And thank you, you thirsty thirster, you thirsty Thursday thirst busters. Okay.
I just can't. I can't.
Diane, enjoy the rest of your margarita.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Love to all of you and to your listeners today.